We are always drawn to abandoned buildings and forgotten places. The what-ifs. The mystery of what used to happen here. As we became heritage guides, Stanley and I are always researching for our next walking tour. That's how we found it. The photos sparked our curiosity.
You can still see a little bit of traces of it. After coming across all this, it kind of prompts you like, hey, actually, what are all these worlds about?
Singapore once had 3 amusement worlds.
New World.
This is the original gate of New World.
Great World.
Was where the literati and affluent gathered.
Happy World.
Had the largest stadium in Southeast Asia. It marketed itself as the most modern amongst the 3 worlds.
City without heritage is like a person without a memory. And it's something very fundamental. It's almost an existential need.
But just a century later, they have disappeared. Vanished.
Why did they vanish? Were the stories about the world real? Where do you start when there's nothing to see?
It's almost more than 5 decades.
And can we recreate what we have not experienced?
The only way to find out more is a journey through time.
The worlds were filled with romance, rebellion, connection.
We dug through the archives, scanned microfilm, scrolled through articles. The facts are there, but where are the stories?
People who lived then, they're not around anymore.
Could it be a completely forgotten past that we don't even know about?
But there's only so much information that you can find about these places online.
We needed to talk to people, those who lived during that time, those who knew of people who lived then, historians, anyone who could share anything.
Then, we got an email reply from Ho Weng Hin, an architect heritage researcher, someone who had spent years reconstructing lost spaces.
During the interwar years, there was a pent-up demand for entertainment and leisure among the working masses, because the British did not really provide for them. The 3 worlds really very vibrant, fascinating places that grew out of Singapore's increasing population and affluence and also urban growth. It's almost more than 5 decades. It's very difficult to recall that these places physically existed.
Ho Weng Hin gave us sketches, photos, and most importantly, maps. With the information gathered so far, we can map out the worlds. The first amusement park to emerge was built in Singapore 100 years ago. It was aptly named New World. New World is located between Serangoon Road, Jalan Besar, Kitchener Road and Petain Road.
This is the original gate of New World.
No, it's not. This is a reconstructed New World Gate. Some parts of it are original, the metal parts, but not the columns.
One of the biggest revelation when he took us around the New World tour was that the gate wasn't the original gate or wasn't at the original position.
The way this is approached is more like interpretation, right? Yeah. So this is put in place when City Square Mall opened in 2009. It's not the same location because we know that it used to be along Jalan Besar.
A reconstructed gate and an information plaque. That was all that was left of New World.
Wait, actually, I have a full photograph from the original compound.
Yeah, so you can see the gate post, right? The gate post carrying an archway.
Yep.
And you can see 新世界. There's a deepening interest amongst the younger generation. Naturally, there's a sense of curiosity to want to find out what they were like, why these buildings were even built, why these sites were important for people that they talk to.
Time has erased a significant portion of what remains of New World physically. But there are some hints to retrace, to understand what we know of them.
Oh yeah, there's an uncle. Maybe you can ask uncle.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Hello
Hello.
uncle, hello. 我想问你啊，那个以前的新世界的大门，在哪里呢？
剪刀饭隔壁的五楼。
哦 ，Caesar's Curry。
Oh.
剪刀饭在隔壁而已。
那个门很大了。
很大哦。
So that's Kitchener Road. You can see it's right far. So it should be somewhere around here. I think this is probably the spot.
Oh, right there.
Yes, I think so. I think this is probably used to be the gates where the original gates stand.
Oh, you mean this black building that looks very modern here?
Yes.
This original position?
This is actually, a much more recent building.
Yeah, it looks very out of place. I
Yes,
noticed.
yes. Do you
Yeah.
have a photo? We can take a look, maybe
Oh
check.
yeah, let's see
yeah,
the
yeah.
old photo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think this one, if you
yes,
see...
yes.
Oh yeah.
This
Yeah.
could be
The 3-story
The
on the
trees.
right-hand side of the balconies, and then the 2-story one with the tiles.
It was a eureka moment for me because I didn't realize that you can actually see that the new building was really out of place versus the conserved shop house.
In the background, you can see that it's now just tall condominiums. But back then, just behind the walls of these shop houses is a whole brawling event space of carnival games and activities.
When you enter the alleyway beyond the shop houses, you are able to experience a totally different realm. This is really a place where everything is well lit and open, and there are throngs of people. I would say the architecture of the walls were built to create surprise, creating something novel to attract people's attention.
But what we didn't realize was the sheer scale of it all. These weren't just neighborhood fairgrounds. They were cities within the city.
Cities within cities.
Maybe we're not thinking big enough.
Perhaps to tell the story of the worlds, we need to find another way to bring people back in time.
We need to reimagine it, bring it back to life, and step inside.
We are going to turn archives into digital replicas of the three worlds, so that people of today can experience what existed before in history. To our knowledge, no one in Singapore has recreated the three worlds at this scope.
We started with one photo, but found decades of stories behind it. The worlds may have vanished, but nothing leaves without a trace. We are hunting the clues.
This is the original gate of New World.
No, it's not. This is a reconstructed New World Gate. Some parts of it are original, the metal parts, but not the columns.
But there are still hints to retrace, to build what we know of them.
We are using a game engine to do heritage work. The plan is to go through maps, photos, then rebuild the site the best as we can. It's like digital forensic modeling. I think if you can move around a 3D space, you're able to look at how big things are, walk around the stores. If you just look at 2D photographs, you can't capture that feeling. I was asking, is it like Haw Villa? Or is it a fun fair or circus or pasar malam? I tried to find information from the internet, but there isn't much out there about the three worlds. I started getting some archival photos from Ho Weng Hin. It started becoming easier to visualize. And I started to build 3D models based on those old photos.
As the first mover, New World set many precedents that the other two worlds copied. First of all, it is the open-air fairground configuration. We have the larger structures that hosted the shows and a lot of drink stalls and game stalls along the way. So it kind of brought this mix of anchor attractions and temporary stalls and kind of created a labyrinth in which people will lose their way and buy something along the way before they reach the show.
New World was wild, noisy, eclectic, and made for the masses.
And while we made some headway with New World, we had 2 other amusement worlds to rebuild.
My name is Li Wen Chiang. My friend calls me Uncle Ringo. My business is I operate a traveling fun fair, traveling all over Singapore. My fun fair consists of amusement rides, game stalls, and many other novelties. My main business is to bring joy and happiness to the communities. And that's what I do best. And I'm still doing it now. 50 years ago, in Singapore, there wasn't any shopping center. If a family want to have fun, Great World or New World Amusement Park, that was the only place they go there. Today, the old Great World Amusement Park on the same ground is now they call the River City Mall.
Great World is bounded by Kim Seng Road, River Valley Road, and Zion Road.
So, are you all familiar with this neighborhood?
Not really. Actually, we live quite a distance away.
Okay. Because it's actually a very interesting area that has gone through tremendous changes. Okay, here we are. Across the road, you can see where Great World City is. And actually, right at the junction, right, is where the old gates of Great World used to stand. This photograph, which is a very rare far shot, likely taken from across the river. This one is quite a distance, the guys are quite tiny, right? The people are quite tiny. It has always been an upmarket residential area. In the past, this stretch of Singapore River used to be a lot of old warehouses. The townhouses along River Valley for the rich tycoons and their family. It's a very stark
contrast.
Yeah.
Weng Hin shared that the architect of Great World had built shed-like structures and activity spaces at its perimeters to attract the more affluent masses.
The gentry class, also the literati, teachers will hang out there.
Eager to differentiate itself from New World, Great World had a zoo, aviary, and even included European-esque activities within its walls. there were landscaped gardens reminiscent of idyllic Europe, an ice skating rink and a car park to specifically attract the affluent, the only ones who could afford a car at that time.
Great World played to high society. For the first time in Singapore, newsletters were published on sports and literature alongside the spreads of Great World advertisements. These photographs of choral singers and the sports wrestler and opera performer at the Great World are inspired by those old advertisements.
So, at least there's something for people to remember Great World by, as they are doing their commute daily along the MRT trains. There was a third world, one that was a lot more vibrant, a bit more risque, with stories too wild for the papers. They called it Happy World.
Happy World is located between Geylang Road and Mountbatten Road. The first thing that stood out is how little that was left of Happy World. In fact, new apartments are currently being built on that plot of land.
If you book a house there, you wouldn't know that your house is situated on Happy World, or you just walk past there, it's just a construction site. That's because there isn't any information board erected at the original site of Happy World.
Perhaps this is how cities grow. But as we build, we have to make sure our stories do not fade away.
And when you're actually seeing it from above, you get an idea of how big the place used to be. Just walking around the boundaries of it, it was quite a walk, for sure. It really gives you a good idea of how big it used to be.
Through our research, we realized that this world was referred to by two different names: Happy World and Gay World.
Further research revealed that the entertainment park began as Happy World, established in 1936. But a land dispute in 1963 led to the original landowner reclaiming his land back under a new management.
They then changed the name to Gay World.
From the start, it marketed itself as the most modern of the worlds. On the side, you have the cinema halls. Most well-known venue was the boxing stadium, right in the middle of the plan. This is really a domineering structure. The stadium was marketed as the largest in Southeast Asia.
This world found its place on the regional map. Gay World was an even more vibrant space for entertainment, hosting sporting events.
Welcome to the Gay World Stadium.
Large-scale concerts, as well as trade fairs and exhibitions.
In terms of the sheer variety of entertainment, these worlds was something that really surprised me. Nowadays, it's more focused to one specific type of entertainment, but this was a place that really had it all.
We were getting the big picture of these spaces. But we still didn't know what it felt like to be inside the worlds.
The worlds presented a lot of earthiness.
That makes the audience at that time so excited.
It was raw.
Women of that era
They're very strong.
It was raunchy.
They were dances to entertain men.
I love to have this kind of dance.
They want to waltz their way throughout the night with the girls.
The three worlds felt unstoppable. But then, the music stopped.
When reality turned brutal, fantasy became a refuge. Because outside the gates, the real world was falling apart.
We got in touch with Xiao Han, anthropologist and game designer. He has done extensive research on the three worlds and its role during the war for a game he was developing.
Perhaps this alternative side of history could benefit our heritage tour.
Actually, I was very curious about what was going on inside the three worlds before, during, and after the Japanese occupation, because such a difficult period. A beauty world, by definition, isn't part of the three worlds, but I think beauty world deserves its own kind of place in history.
The Japanese occupation from 1942 to 1945 was a trying time for Singapore. Based on the success of the three worlds, two enterprising Chinese businessmen opened another entertainment park called Datong-ya, or Greater East Asia, referring to Asian solidarity propaganda against colonial forces.
It appears that Datong-ya was a carbon copy of the three worlds and frequented by the Japanese soldiers and their families.
Why were they not allowed to?
It's gambling, right? What happens if, let's say, I'm the Imperial Japanese Army and you're the Chinese gambler and I owe money to you? Right, then how does it continue to compromise discipline, the ranks and everything? Datong, basically the predecessor of Beauty World, had Japanese allowances to go in and play their things.
So I was just wondering, during war there'll be a lot of planes overhead and all those things. You mean the entertainment still continued as per normal?
那么在那边做的时候呢，好像有警报来，那晚上常常有警报来的哦。警报一来，那么我们怎么样？灯火就关掉咯。那么台上的人就坐到一半就等了，台下的人他们也不管的，抽烟的抽烟，讲话的讲话咯，黑茫茫的啦，灯关掉了。那么等到警报走喽，灯一开又做了，继续做，跳的继续跳了，就这样子了，从头起了那一幕。
This was when the big open grounds of the three worlds took on darker tones. Under the Japanese occupation,
they shifted from entertainment over to other purposes. Some of them were internment camps for prisoners of war, places where bodies were identified and placed over. I think the big transformation that we'll have is that the shift away from Western movies over towards to the new Japanese kind of movies that are being shown there. I think people were probably happy to have any kind of entertainment. But despite all these changes, there was still the symphonies, the harmonies, the bands, all those were still pretty much the same. So the meanings transformed, the stories are being told transformed, but the music in the background, the gambling, all those kind of had some continuity. And that, I think, was kind of cool because war can't take that away, basically.
following the Japanese surrender in 1945, Datong-ya had disappeared, making way for new management who renamed it Beauty World.
I guess learning how all these worlds are actually connected really helps you to peel back the layers of history and get a better idea of what used to happen in Singapore as a whole.
The worlds survived the war, but what was so attractive about them that kept people coming back?
My favorite attraction in the fun fair or in the amusement park is still the bumper car because the parents can drive with the children.
The three worlds were continuing entertainment for the whole family. It was airy, it was breezy. I don't recall being hot at all.
It's totally one hub entertainment places.
Game stalls, dodgem cars, merry-go-rounds, even the ghost trains.
When I was very young kids, my father brought me to the ghost train. It was so frightening. Then I hold my father tight, so tight. So, that kind of relationship was very special.
The three worlds held space for imagination, creativity, and the kids at heart. Naturally, cultural activities at the three worlds flourished, one of them being the art of bangsawan.
Bangsawan is a hybrid cultural form, a Malay version of opera. It means nobility in Malay. They were mirrors reflecting stories from royalty to folklore, east to west, all in one.
In bangsawan, there's a lot of fantasies. There's genies, fairies. That makes the audience at that time so excited because brought into the fantasy world. Through fantasies, the messages are put across, good over evil, how to be kind to one another. There's singing, there's dancing, there's rhythmic dialogue.
Bangsawan performances were unscripted and worked on the shared chemistry between director, actors, and musicians.
The added value is the language, the royalties, the costumes, the songs, and the extra turns in bangsawan. That's the beauty of bangsawan. It more or less give a kind of endorsement that, bangsawan also can be part of the bigger scenario in the development of this theatre world.
Another popular distinctive feature was the extra turn, or an interlude between acts. They include performances by famous Getai and Malay singers.
Across the three worlds, music reigned supreme. Places like these gave a stage to ordinary Singaporeans, dancers, musicians, performers who would otherwise not have a platform for their craft.
The three worlds open stage had no restrictions as to what you could sing or what you couldn't sing, what you can or cannot do. And they were judged more by their abilities, not by what songs that they sang. Obviously looking for good quality talent. Live music was an ongoing thing. It was a continuing hotbed of amateur music activity. Don't play that song for me. It brings back the memories of days that I once knew. Those days that I spent with you. I began life as a singer through influences of a musical family. Through time, I joined talent competitions, of which I wasn't successful, but nevertheless pursued this love for music and ended up being with three of the most famous bands in Singapore, the Trailers, the Checkmates, and the Quests.
The Cabaret, the dancing hall, inside you can hear music. The live band will be about average 7-piece band, and they play Dixieland music or jazzy music.
As music flourished, dance halls and cabarets became the places to be. It was a hushed world, but Mabel, the adopted daughter of a famed cabaret dancer, has a few secrets to share.
I lived the early days of my life at 135 Kitchener Road. And Kitchener Road is the dividing road between the row of shop houses and New World. My adoptive mother, Nancy Ho, she was a dance hostess. And I used to see women coming into our house. She taught them dancing. And of course, the dance of those days was, the popular one would be waltz. Anything that the couple can hold each other, you see. So of course, those clients who patronize the cabarets, they won't want to cha-cha. They want to waltz their way throughout the night with the girls.
The adults pay the ticket to dance with the lady, but they cannot touch the lady. So as a kids, we stand on the side, we watch, we feel so entertained as well.
It's a place where the business was done. The tauques would entertain their clients so that they will get the business. It's a win-win situation. The cabaret exists because it provided entertainment, it provided jobs for the girls, and it provided a place where businessmen would bring their clients. So it's a circle of life.
Most of the cabaret dancers were of Chinese origin. But there were also Malay dancers in other halls at the Three Worlds.
Based on their stories, based on their sharing, it is a very decent work. They were dancers to entertain men, after hard day's work. And they dance, not only Malay dance, besides the Ronggeng, Inang, Zapin. They dance cha-cha, they dance all kind of dance, mambo, rumba, you name it, they can do it. And they dress up every day within a corset, and to make sure that they look good and their energy stays on all night.
Both the cabaret and Malay female dancers use their salary to help support their families, but some earn extra through midnight rendezvous with customers. There was some gossip about this indecent behavior, but the dancers were mostly serious professionals.
And they only get their money, income, through the ticket that they got. So if they have 10 people inviting them to dance, so the exchange of the ticket is their salary.
Customer of the cabaret would have to buy a ticket for $13. $13 was big money in the 1950s.
Now, I love to have this kind of dance, but there wasn't anymore around.
The customer might not know the dance that they are doing, but important thing is they move and they enjoy. But the dancers guide them, perform together with them. I think that makes the energy can sustain because they're happy doing what they do.
Women of that era, they're very strong, stronger of the two the genders, because without an education, how to survive, right? So they went into dancing as dancing girls. Some even went into prostitution or washerwoman, and still they can survive.
The entertainment scene was heaving in the 1950s, driven by the plethora of performances in the Three Worlds.
The Worlds presented a lot of earthiness. It was raw, it was raunchy.
Even striptease performances held their spot with daily performances and changing storylines.
退伍的在夜总会是绝对不可以的，绝对不可以的。所以他们都是在一些比较戏院里面，好像早期大世界有一间大西洋戏院，旁边有一个歌台就是这些表演退伍的。那么表演呢，他就通常是在最后一场来表演，因为那个时间大概文化部的官员也回家睡觉了，所以他们通常是在那个时间表演。就是刚才我提那个陈慧珍这个是最出名的那时候。就是说他不但是单单能够会脱衣，他能够表演很多一些花样，奇奇怪怪的花样。
As the Three Worlds recover from war, new challenges emerge. Ones that could bring them to an end.
Definitely affected how the society viewed culture.
The worlds were starved of its audience.
Eventually, they got kind of pushed out of their own home.
It is at this point that I would think went a little bit too far.
(1950s). Singapore saw an economic boom that spurred its entertainment scene.
Three Worlds were a very important part of Singapore's history. So much was produced It was a melting pot of cultures. Precious things that the world teach us is that Singapore was not a sleepy fishing village before 1965.
But slowly, the cracks began to show, and the very chaos that gave the world their charm was now being labelled as immoral, dangerous, unpoliced.
Yellow culture, which translates directly from the Chinese phrase 黄色文化, refers to what was deemed as immoral behavior, such as gambling, opium smoking, pornography, prostitution, and crime.
In the 1950s and 60s, this is where it all came together in what we now know as the anti-yellow movement to put forward a view of what healthy sort of national culture should be. Singapore and Malaya at the time was booming. A lot of these sort of popular cultural products increased in demand. Talking about Ge Tai, the sudden eroticization of Ge Tai performances. One particular Ge Tai staged a play that involved a woman taking off her clothes. Sort of excited the crowds, and because it was so competitive, other Ge Tais felt like they had to do it. That had already attracted critiques from the public. The government was coming forth to put forth what they want Singaporeans to consume.
As Singapore's population grew, the Housing Development Board, HDB, was formed to tackle the nation's housing needs.
HDB started to look at moving the population out to new housing estates. You start to see a process of emptying out of the city core.
The government was all focused on creating jobs for young Singaporeans, and there was a deep fear that on its own, a tiny island with no natural resources, we can't thrive as an economy. And they were trying to attract, the multinational companies of the West to invest in Singapore.
As the economy started to pick up and the population increased, new entertainment spots began to emerge.
The appearance of shopping malls, instant hit with the people because for the first time people could shop indoors comfortably because of the atrium, because of the air conditioning, and because of escalators, you could move big crowds of people from different floors.
On top of shopping malls, new cinemas were built to provide more entertainment outlets.
They were now more accessible to the relocated masses.
With the state coming out very strongly to try to define what is healthy culture, the more sort of pornographic stuff disappeared. If you dig a little bit deeper, people in the creative cultural industries, we have to be aware that it is a constant dialogue, constant negotiation, right? For the space to express ourselves, but it definitely affected how the society viewed culture.
When the populations get resettled, the world will starve of its audience.
These places were actually in central locations, and maybe they wanted to find better uses of the land. Eventually, they got kind of pushed out of their own home.
I think it definitely set the tone for what creative culture should be like. I think that had a huge impact on a whole generation of writers, artists, filmmakers.
The evolution of different alternative forms of entertainment was what actually declined the three worlds. For example, television. Now they know that they can have entertainment in the comfort of their own home.
Even now, television is starting to become a bit more obsolete, and people are moving on to even more convenient services such as streaming services. It kind of just shows the evolution of how humans have evolved in terms of their entertainment needs and requirements.
It's really about a gradual process of losing out to new forms of leisure entertainment that killed off the worlds.
Today, the newer amusement park now is called the City Square Shopping Mall.
New World shut its doors in 1987.
On the other hand, the old Great World Amusement Park on the same ground is now they call the Great World City Shopping Center.
Great World in 1978.
So all become shopping mall.
Gay World in 2000,
So all the nostalgia memories were all gone. Yeah.
Piece by piece, brick by brick, the three worlds were erased.
we didn't grow up with the three worlds, but after walking their grounds, hearing their stories, it almost feels like we did.
The digital twins helped. We wrap up our thoughts on preserving history, stories, and giving old spaces a new lease of life.
When we eventually saw the end product, we were really just mind-blown because you could really get an idea of how the atmosphere used to be, like how spaced out all these different attractions were. And I think he did an amazing job in making you feel like you are in the worlds again.
A lot of our urban landscape is very non-permanent, overcome by waves of reclamation, redevelopment, constant churning of the land and its built forms. If some part of it were captured and understood and rejuvenated, maybe able to bridge the distance of time, that would actually make us a more interesting place, I think.
It is something that we would never have done on our own, and something that even very good storytelling wouldn't have delivered.
The models are a way to open space for imagination. We are bringing what we have learnt and created into our Three Worlds Heritage Tour.
Not to retell history, but to awaken that knowledge.
Just to give people an idea of how big these worlds were, we're going to take them to the original sites and point the boundaries out to them so that they can actually see it with their own eyes how big the worlds were. And to also create a little bit experience for them, we're going to show them the 3D model that Xavier created. And just the sheer fact about the amount of time that the three worlds actually existed in Singapore is already a very important part of Singapore's history. So I think that it's very important to just revive the memory of the three worlds from time to time so that the younger generation has something to look back on.
It did seem that things were a lot more simple back then. And definitely I hope that in the future when our son also asks us, what was entertainment like back then, we can at least say, before we had places like Universal Studios, we also had places like the Three Worlds where a lot of people from all walks of life could enjoy. Each of these worlds were made for different target audiences. Yeah, and it's just a pity to actually see them be no longer around.
I guess what we experienced at Pasar Malams today, or like Uncle Ringo fairs, is gradually also vanishing with time. So that is something that I want to pass down to as many children as possible.
In my pipeline, if I have the opportunity, I'd like to bring the three worlds together, called the Happy New Great World, and bring happiness and bring the senior back to memory lane.
The three worlds were places where people laughed, danced, fell in love, rebelled, survived. We have seen how easy it is to erase places like these.
All it takes is time and silence. If we don't remember, who will? If we don't imagine, what do we lose?
Set me free, come on little girl. All you gotta do is set me free. Can't you see? Come on little girl. All you gotta do is set me free, oh yeah. Look out. above you. All the stars are saying, do, 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 do. Set me free. Come on, little girl. All you gotta do is set me free. Oh, yeah.